President Trump has signed an executive order to allow aerospace corporations to begin mining the moon for resources. The order states, "Outer space is a legally and physically unique domain of human activity, and the United States does not view space as a global commons." Despite having two United Nations treaties that declare outer space as a global commons, the US oligarchy doesn't agree and is pushing to further dominate space, and they intend to deny other nations access to outer space. In 2015, during the Obama administration, Congress passed a law specifically allowing US corporations and citizens, also known as billionaires, to make claim to moon and asteroid resources. Capitalism wants to control space. In addition, the US never signed the 1979 Moon Treaty, which states that non-scientific use of space resources must be governed by international regulations. Trump's executive order shows that the US will oppose any attempt to use international law to hinder its efforts to extract resources from the moon. The US also has its sights on mining Mars. But the earthly parasites who want to colonize Mars and blast it to pieces are pushing for nuclear energy to power their operations. Space.com has reported, private companies find role in developing nuclear power for space travel. The nuclear technology industry is pushing the idea of using nuclear reactors to power spacecraft in the near future. This places our environment down here on Earth at high risk. Placing enriched uranium, plutonium, or other toxic elements on a spacecraft, then blasting it into the sky, isn't exactly the safest way to transport a highly toxic chemical. If a spacecraft blows up at or just after a launch, the toxic materials will be dispersed and circulate in our atmosphere, creating more radioactivity to breathe into our lungs. And the contamination sometimes happens even before launch. As the plutonium devices are fabricated at the Department of Energy labs around the United States, there have been past accidents which have contaminated many workers, and often the radioactive substances have been released into the air and local water supplies. We're already dealing with the COVID-19 crisis, and we've learned that our healthcare system cannot provide care for even a small portion of US citizens who become sick. We should know that the healthcare system was never developed to support the people, rather just turned into another industry to make more money for the corporations who run these things. Since the birth of the space industry, there have been several accidents where spacecraft have crashed or fallen back to Earth, carrying a payload of plutonium or uranium, released into the atmosphere and spreading contamination worldwide. Scientists who have studied some of these accidents believe the radioactive release are linked to the increase in cancer rates on the Earth today. These psychopaths who already dominate the Earth are now pushing to dominate space, justifying their actions as a way to benefit the economic sphere of human activity beyond the Earth. Rich fat cats like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have created aerospace companies and intend to mine the sky. The Earth has enough resources to provide for all of humanity if we learn to live properly. But these resources are tightly controlled by a tiny minority of billionaires who exist for one reason and one reason alone: to make more money. One key role of Trump's new Space Force will be to control the pathway on and off our planet to ensure that only the good guys can venture into the heavens and control future space mining operations. Global poverty and inequality isn't a question of having a lack of resources, it's a question of access and equity. The system of putting profit over people isn't working anymore. It's killing our planet, increasing inequality, throwing us into another depression, unable to provide decent healthcare during the COVID-19 crisis, perpetuating wars, sharpening tensions between nuclear powers, and so much more. The global network opposes these dangerous actions by Trump, the Republican and Democrat parties, and the multinational corporations that are destroying our Mother Earth. We must end these parasitic actions before it is too late.